All right. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive
Okay.
into a case that's both tragic and really perplexing.
Yeah.
The murder of Yancy Noll in Seattle back in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you shared an article with me.
Yeah.
It's from Investor,
Right.
and it's called A Random Encounter, The Tragic Case of Yancy Noll.
Interesting title.
So let's unpack this case.
Yeah.
You know, this seemingly ordinary man's death
Right.
became this haunting mystery.
Absolutely. And you know what makes this case so gripping?
Yeah.
And even unsettling, I think, is just the sheer randomness of it all.
Yeah.
You have Yancy Noll, this 42-year-old.
Oh, wow. Only 42.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wine steward with a real passion for nature,
Mm-hmm.
described as just a kind and gentle soul.
Wow.
And suddenly he's caught in this whirlwind of violence.
Wow.
It's such a stark contrast to the life he led.
Yeah, such a tragedy.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the details of the night of August 31st, 2012.
Right.
I mean, they read like a scene straight out of Thriller.
Oh, yeah.
Picture this. Yancy's driving home,
Mm-hmm.
stopped at a red light.
Uh-huh.
BMW pulls up alongside him,
Scary.
and bam, 5 shots fired
Oh, my gosh.
with deadly accuracy.
Wow.
The BMW then tears off,
Right.
even drives into oncoming traffic to escape.
Yeah, they were in a hurry.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So the article mentions these two witnesses,
Oh, right.
Kevin Watts
Uh-huh.
and Angelo Rama.
Okay.
They were close enough to the scene
Yeah.
to actually hear those shots,
I can't imagine.
and they tried to pursue the BMW.
Oh, wow.
But tragically, you know, when they returned to Yancy's Subaru,
Yeah.
they found him fatally wounded.
It's just awful.
Yeah, so chilling.
Really is.
And what's even more baffling, I think, is that the initial investigation
Yeah.
didn't reveal any obvious motive at all.
Right.
No known enemies, no history of road rage.
Uh-huh.
Robbery was quickly ruled out.
Right.
So what are we looking at here?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, is this a professional hit?
I don't know.
A case of mistaken identity?
Yeah. The media at the time, they
Yeah.
started labeling the perpetrator
Uh-huh.
a student of murder.
A student of murder.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
And I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
This wasn't just a random act of violence
Mhm.
in the truest sense.
No.
The precision of the shooting,
Mhm.
the calculated escape,
Right.
it points to a level of planning
Absolutely.
and skill. That's really disturbing,
Yeah, very
to say
disappointing.
the least.
For sure.
It's like piecing together a puzzle
Mm-hmm.
where the pieces don't quite fit,
Totally.
right?
Mhm.
We have this image of Yancy as a peace-loving individual,
Yeah.
yet he becomes the target of this incredibly precise,
Right.
seemingly motiveless attack.
It's very strange.
Yeah, and that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah. Let's look at the tire marks
Okay.
left by the BMW swerving into oncoming traffic.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So it suggests that the driver was not only skilled, but also very familiar with the area.
Oh, that's interesting.
Comfortable taking risks.
Yeah,
Combine that with the accuracy of the shots.
right.
What do you make of that?
It definitely paints a picture of someone who knew
Right.
exactly what they were doing
Yeah.
and wasn't afraid of the consequences
At all.
at all.
Yeah.
But who would target Yancy
Right.
in such a manner?
Exactly.
So
that is the $1,000,000 question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the investigators, like the article mentions,
Mm-hmm.
they meticulously combed through Yancy's life,
Right.
looking for any connection, any
Yeah.
hint of a reason
Yeah.
for someone to want him dead. Was there something,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps,
Yeah.
that seemed insignificant
Okay.
to those who knew him,
Right.
but held a deeper,
Yeah.
more sinister meaning to someone else?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating point.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So often in these cases, the smallest detail absolutely
Can crack the whole thing wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something about Yancey's routine,
Right.
his work,
Yeah.
even a seemingly innocuous hobby
Oh, yeah,
could hold the key.
for sure.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, let's move on to part 2 and we'll discuss that.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like searching for a needle in a haystack.
Right.
But sometimes
Yeah.
the most unexpected detail can be like the linchpin
Yeah.
of the whole investigation.
Absolutely. And the article doesn't dive deep into the
For sure.
forensic techniques used.
Mhm.
But back in 2012, Seattle wasn't as, blanketed in surveillance cameras
Right. Yeah.
as it is today.
Yeah.
So tracking that BMW,
Yeah.
especially with the killer's deliberate attempt to just disappear,
Right.
must have been a huge challenge for investigators.
It must have been. I mean, they likely had to rely on eyewitness accounts.
Yeah.
traffic camera footage,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even tire track analysis to piece together that escape route.
It's a painstaking process, especially with limited technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And while they were trying to track the car,
Right.
they were also delving into Yancey's life.
Yeah.
Did anything in the article stand out to you as a potential lead?
Well, I found the detail about Yancy
Okay.
being a wine steward particularly interesting.
Okay.
You know, imagine the network of people he interacted with on a daily basis. You know, suppliers, customers, colleagues.
Right.
Could there have been like a dispute?
Oh.
Perhaps over a rare vintage
Interesting.
that escalated
Yeah.
beyond what anyone could have imagined.
That's a really intriguing angle.
Yeah.
We often see in these cases that
Right.
seemingly, minor disagreements
Yeah.
can fester
Absolutely.
and transform into something far more sinister.
Oh, yeah.
Passion, especially when it's mixed
Yeah.
with a sense of betrayal or injustice, can be a powerful motivator.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and let's not forget that,
Yeah.
like, student of murder aspect. Yeah. The article touches upon that, but it doesn't really delve into the psychology
Right.
behind such a calculated act. You know, the killer's methodical approach, the precision of the shooting, the deliberate escape,
Right.
it all suggests a level of premeditation
Yeah.
that's both fascinating and terrifying.
It really is. It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what kind of person could meticulously plan and execute such a crime?
Right.
Is it about power?
Could be.
Is it about control?
I don't know.
Or maybe the twisted sense of justice, like you were saying,
Mhm.
where a perceived slight
Yeah.
escalates into something far more sinister.
It's hard to say for sure
Yeah.
without understanding the killer's motive.
Right.
But one thing's for certain. This wasn't a crime of passion at all. This was cold, calculated, almost surgical in its execution.
Wow.
And that level of detachment is truly unsettling.
It really is. It challenges our perception of safety,
It really does.
Knowing that someone capable of such calculated violence could be living among us.
Right.
Blending into everyday life is a chilling thought.
It really is. It reminds us that
Yeah.
even in seemingly safe and predictable environments, there's always an element of the unknown.
Right.
And it's that element of randomness,
Yeah.
that lack of control
Yeah.
that can be so unsettling.
Absolutely. The article mentions the fear and the unease that gripped Seattle after Yancey's murder.
Right.
I can only imagine how this
Yeah.
case, with its lack of a clear motive
Right.
and this image of a student of murder on the loose, must have rattled the community.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine the ripple effect.
Yeah.
Suddenly a simple act,
Right.
like stopping at a red light, becomes fraught with anxiety.
Wow.
People start questioning their routines,
Mhm.
their surroundings, their interactions.
Yeah.
The sense of security is shattered.
Yeah.
And that can be incredibly difficult to rebuild.
Absolutely. And yet,
Yeah.
amidst this fear and uncertainty,
Right.
the article also highlights the community's resilience,
That's right.
their determination to find answers
Uh-huh.
and seek justice for Yancy.
Yeah, it's a testament to the human spirit, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Even when confronted with tragedy
Yeah.
and the darkest aspects of human nature.
Right.
There's this inherent drive to seek understanding,
Right.
to find meaning,
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that good ultimately prevails.
It's fascinating how, in the face of such a senseless act,
Yeah,
people often turn to the investigation itself as a source of hope.
absolutely.
You know, the meticulous gathering of evidence, the pursuit of every possible lead, it's as if the very act of investigating
Yeah.
brings a sense of order to a chaotic situation.
It's a way of reclaiming control, of
Yeah.
pushing back against the randomness of the event,
Right.
and for the investigators.
It becomes more than just a job. It's a commitment to honor Yancey's memory,
Yeah.
to bring closure to his loved ones,
Yeah.
and to ensure that such a tragedy doesn't go unanswered.
The article doesn't explicitly state this,
Right.
but I imagine the pressure on the detectives
Yeah.
must have been immense.
Oh, it must have been.
Not only were they dealing with the complexities of
Uh.
the case itself, but they were also carrying the weight
Yeah.
of the community's fear and expectations.
Absolutely. In a case like this,
Yeah,
where the motive remains elusive,
right.
the investigation becomes a puzzle
Yeah.
with seemingly infinite pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And with each passing day, the
Yeah.
need to find that one crucial piece, the one that will bring the entire picture into focus.
Yeah.
Intensify.
It's like a race against time.
Exactly.
Right.
Every piece of evidence, every witness statement could be the key to unlocking the mystery behind Yancy Noll's murder.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. And that's what makes the work of these investigators so crucial.
Right.
They are the ones who painstakingly sift through the chaos.
Yeah.
Following every lead, however tenuous, in the hope of bringing light to the darkness.
Yeah, it's almost as if the investigators are playing like a game of chess against an unseen opponent. Each move they make, each piece of evidence they uncover, is met with a calculated countermove.
Absolutely.
Designed to obscure the truth.
It really is, and it highlights that psychological aspect of this case. You know, we're not just dealing with physical evidence. We're dealing with the mind of someone who has carefully constructed this facade to conceal their actions and intentions.
And that facade, that seeming normalcy, is what makes this case so unsettling.
It is.
For so many people.
Yeah.
It challenges our ability to assess danger, to trust our instincts, to feel safe in our everyday lives.
You're right. The idea that someone capable of such cold-blooded violence could blend seamlessly into society. I mean, could be our neighbor.
Oh, wow,
Our colleague, our friend even. It's a terrifying thought. It forces us to confront this really uncomfortable reality that evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a smile.
It makes you wonder what kind of psychological profile might fit this perpetrator. Is there a pattern of behavior, a set of traits that investigators could look for to narrow down their search?
Well, that's where criminal profiling comes into play.
Okay.
While the article doesn't mention specifics, it's likely that investigators would have consulted with experts in the field to develop a psychological profile of the killer based on the available evidence.
So what might that profile look like?
Well,
I mean, would we be talking about a sociopath?
It could be.
Someone devoid of empathy? Or could this be someone driven by a specific delusion, a warped sense of justice that led them to target Yancy?
It's really hard to speculate without access to the details of the investigation. However, based on the level of premeditation and the calculated nature of the crime, it's possible we're dealing with someone who exhibits a high degree of control. Perhaps even a fascination with power dynamics.
Yeah, the article uses the phrase student of murder, which is pretty chilling.
It is.
Don't you think it suggests that this person may have been studying criminal cases? Perhaps even drawing inspiration from other crimes?
Absolutely. And that brings up another disturbing possibility. Could this be the first in a series of crimes? Could this individual be using Yancy's murder as a kind of practice run before moving on to other targets?
That's a terrifying thought.
That is.
And it would certainly add a layer of urgency.
It would.
To the investigation.
For sure.
If this individual is indeed planning further attacks, then catching them becomes even more crucial.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And while the article doesn't provide a resolution, it does emphasize the ongoing nature of the investigation. The fact that detectives are still actively pursuing leads, even years later, speaks to their commitment to finding answers and bringing Yancy's killer to justice.
It's a reminder that even when faced with the darkest aspects of humanity, even when the answers seem elusive, there are those who refuse to give up.
That's right.
Who continue to fight for justice, for closure, for a sense of order in a world that can often feel chaotic.
Exactly. And perhaps that's the most powerful takeaway from this deep dive. Yancy Noll's story is a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the randomness of violence. But it's also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Our capacity for compassion and empathy. And our unwavering pursuit of truth and justice, even in the face of the most senseless acts.
It really does leave us with a lot to ponder.
It does.
The case of Yancy Noll is a chilling reminder.
It is.
That the world can be a very dangerous place.
Absolutely.
And that even the most ordinary among us
can
become victims of extraordinary acts of violence.
And yet, amidst the darkness, there are glimmers of hope. The dedication of the investigators, the outpouring of support from the community, the enduring memory of Yancy himself. These are all testaments to the enduring strength of the human spirit.
Perhaps in the end, that's what we should hold on to.
I think so.
The belief in the good, the unwavering pursuit of justice, and the commitment to creating a world where such tragedies become less frequent. Where empathy prevails over indifference.
Yes.
And where every life is valued and cherished.
Absolutely.